I'm telling you all of this not to bash on former President Bush. Okay? I'm telling you all of this because of the next statistic I'm going to give you. Right now, 65% of the American people favor invading Iran if necessary to prevent them from acquiring nuclear weapons. There's all kinds of little stuff tied up in that when you ask the question that way. But this is my question, and I'm not asking that we be pacifists. We don't have to be absolute pacifists. I'm not asking that. But this is my question. Is our country moving towards war as a last resort? When we think about war, do we think about the impact on our soldiers? Do we really think about what happens to them? And when we think about war, do we put the life of the Iraqi or the Iranian as high as the life of the American? That I think we can advocate for. That I think we can read the call in the gospel to be blessed peacemakers and feel safe at it. That's a place where the church can get out in front of the society. And let me emphasize that. This is another thing about the true gospel. The true gospel needs to motivate you to get in front of what's going on and to advocate for the peace and love of Jesus Christ. Okay? There is a very popular writer and a prominent atheist named Sam Harris. Sam Harris wrote a book called The End of Faith. It's basically, the point of it, the thesis of it is that the church is evil, and religion in general is evil. That's the point of it. He says, eventually the church is going to accept gays and lesbians and bisexuals and transgender people. It'll do it when everyone else does it. And then the church will even claim it's a Christian value, just like the church now considers anti-racism to be a Christian value. But so what? The church will only do that when everybody else has. The best thing you can say about the church, says Sam Harris, is that eventually it will do no harm. Well, we have to show that Sam Harris is wrong. Okay? We have to be in front of things. Now, I'm going to tell you something. Elijah would disagree on the issue of gay rights. Okay? Elijah would for sure be against gay rights. I don't mean to tell you. I'm not pretending that. But Elijah, who stood up to Ahab, who went to a king who would do things like cut your head off and let himself be called a troubler, would tell us it's not good enough to be in the back seat. There's another reason to do that too, I think. Not only for our own salvation, but for the salvation of our church. Okay? For us to, free from the evils of this world, as Paul says, for us to turn on the evils of the world and to engage them and to do what we can to stop them. Martha Grace Reese had a book where she talked about why people come to new churches. Do you know what the most important reason is? They have something missing in their lives. Okay? Well, guess what? If we're going to fill a hole in somebody's life, we can't be saying what everyone else is saying. Right? We've got to be out in front with answers. Once we have that true gospel, once we engage the true gospel, it's the kind of thing that leads you out of the jaws of death, out of the mouth of hell. And when you do that, other people will see it and they will follow you. I'm going to close with just a story about something that happened to me when I was preparing this sermon. I had the opportunity to visit our nation's capital. And the seminar I was in ended a little early, so I got to spend some time walking around the National Mall. I kind of went in the middle, and I ended up on the wrong side of the Vietnam War Memorial. And so I kind of walked against the stream of all the school children that started flooding past. And I kind of picked a name here and there as the names sort of pile up, you know. As you walk, you sort of walk down, and the names just pile higher and higher and higher until the names are over your head. I knew Dad's name was not on that wall, even though the Agent Orange that killed him, that exposure to the Agent Orange that killed him at age 59, was an exposure that happened when he was in combat. And I thought, well, maybe he ought to be on that wall. I started thinking back, trying to remember, place names. Is it, Pleiku, or Da Nang, or Trang? I could, it's hard for me to remember what are names that he actually, places he told me he was, and then they get sort of mixed up with, Good Morning Vietnam and Miss Saigon, frankly. It's hard for me to remember. As you walk out of the memorial, the names sort of fade away, and then they kind of disappear into the grass as you walk on. It was raining, but that was okay because I'm from Arizona. The rain doesn't bother me. It's kind of fun still, rain. So I kind of kept going. I walked past the Lincoln Memorial, and I bought this pin. Actually, it was a nice little pin to commemorate my naval service. And I came around to come up on the Korean War soldiers that are on patrol, and sort of climbed up the hill with them and admired some of their rain gear now as the rain was really starting to kind of fall. And I took some time to sit under heavy trees and watch this fountain, which seemed to be completely still, but then you could see the water pouring off, so you saw that it was really washing things away. So I left that memorial back into the grass field, and I headed off, and so you could see the Washington Monument off in the distance. But before I reached the Washington Monument, you come to the World War II Memorial. And the World War II Memorial is like a cathedral. I don't know if any of you have seen it. It's the newest of them. It has a huge pillar for the Pacific, for battles like Pearl Harbor and the Battle of Midway. Hiroshima, maybe? Then you have another big pillar that has the battles in the Atlantic. Battles like the Normandy invasion, the Battle of Britain, battles like the liberation of Auschwitz. Then I walked a little further, and as you go past the Washington Monument, there's this really kind of hill of beautiful grass that it's the last part of my memory of my walk. And then I hopped in my cab and took it back to my hotel. It's funny to me, the old memorials are to political leaders and thinkers like Washington, and there's a Jefferson Memorial, and there's a Lincoln Memorial. And the new memorials, at first I was like, why are all the new memorials to wars? But I think that's wrong. I think the new memorials are to fallen soldiers, which is a little different. And I guess my question is, for those of us that are yoked to the true gospel, is it sufficient for us to remember the soldier's sacrifice? Or is it necessary for us to also remember the blunders that made their sacrifice necessary? And worse yet, the blunders that called for and received their sacrifice when it was not necessary. Don't we have to do that too, to honor their memory as Christians? Aren't we commanded to be the peacemakers? Carl Sandburg put it this way. Pile the bodies high at Austerlitz and Waterloo. Shovel them under, let me work. I am the grass. I cover all. And pile them high at Gettysburg, and pile them high at Ypres and Verdun. Shovel them under, and let me work. 2 years, 10 years. And passengers ask the conductor, what is this place? Where are we now?